you know, here's Constantine, the emperor of the Roman Empire.
Right.
And his mother says, well, this is Mount Sinai. And so everybody goes along with it. But Mount Sinai, according to Galatians, is in Arabia.
Yeah,
it's not in Egypt.
I'll show you.
Above that's called the Elat Sea. Deep, excuse me.
I got pictures.
And below that is called the Argonis Deep. And in the middle of the Gulf of Aqaba is a land bridge that goes over there. I mean, I've got a depth chart of the whole map.
Okay, now you've been here. That's the beach where the water flows out.
And you notice the beach is square miles. A few million people could picnic out there in tents, and a pillar would block this wadi to where the Egyptians couldn't get at them that night.
The pillar of fire.
That night. And the pillar was pillar of cloud darkness. Can you imagine coming at nighttime here? You see them, and then it blocks them, and it's darkness. And these guys know this darkness before because it was the 9th plague. So they're not going to move until it moves. They didn't move out of the houses for 3 days until it moved.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So here's a north view. Here's what they call the Sinai Peninsula down here, which is viewed from the north. So they cross. There's that little brown spot. That's the beach. Here it is right here.
A big beach. Now look at it. Show it. There you go. Mountains dropping off in water north and south of it. But right there is a gigantic picnic area.
Well, probably
the
from
Lord
Noah's
prepared
flood.
that after the Noah's flood.
Right.
And made a little picnic
It would have
area
washed all
for
that sand out there where the water went. That's why the valley is between those rocks.
Yeah.
So this is, from the bottom to here, is about how far?
Oh, a few miles. It's square miles. I forgot. I used to have it down 9-point-something square miles. But the only entrance is this, and a pillar would block it. No problem. Well, the pillar was found in water in 1978 by Ron Wyatt, and the Jews were occupying it from 67 war to 81. So in 78, they're building a road to do what? Patrol the border of Egypt. Well, Isaiah, 2,700 years ago, said there'll be a pillar on the border of Egypt. That's the pillar. That's the border of Egypt. He found this pillar. Now, it was lying in the water, so it had fallen over. A solid granite pillar, this big. It's bigger than a 55-gallon drum.
You couldn't reach around it.
I could not reach around it. It's bigger than a 55-gallon drum.
There's you standing on top of it.
Right there, yeah. And because I got up there, see, the Egyptians didn't know I took that picture. I threw my camera down to a Bedouin. And he took my picture. Finally, the guy showed up, followed me over there, about a couple of miles, with the front end loader, and bulldozed all around that thing and strengthened it. Because I could see under the concrete the old picture. Yeah, that's two of the guys standing with me after we finished. Notice there's square miles, no ruins in sight, and there's a gigantic Phoenician solid granite pillar, just like the Bible says. Now, why did they put a pillar there? Why would who put the pillar there?
That's Isaiah 19:19, by the way.
Yeah, 19 and 20. Said, and the pillar will be for a sign and a witness to the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt. That's the land of Egypt. That's the border of Egypt, and there's a pillar. So everybody followed him. Okay, that's why leaders led and how they kept, because they were ruthless. I mean, they meant business. When the king said something, you're supposed to respond and do it. So everybody followed him, and not one escaped. Not one. Now, it should be called the Clear Sea, not the Red Sea. The Sea of Edom. Edomites lived there. Because it's so clear, I've gone 140 feet down scuba diving on the Egyptian side, because it's deeper on that side, and it's clear as a bell. So I believe we're going to find Pharaoh's chariot on the Saudi side of the Red Sea, because Yeshua said, there's nothing hid that shall not be revealed. He told Moses after 6 plagues, don't sleep in, go up and stand before Pharaoh early in the morning and say, for this very cause, I raised you up, that my name. Nobody knows the name of the Pharaoh. They all have their ideas and everything. And a lot of people don't know the name of Yahweh. They just don't know it. They just know Lord. That's all they know. And you got to be a little more personal. When you know somebody by name, when you call upon the name of Yahweh, you shall be saved. Joel. The first Pentecost, the first gospel message after the resurrection and ascension was, Joel, whosoever calleth on the name of Yahweh shall be saved. That's what Peter preached. My man was good.
All right, let me show you this. Now, you mentioned there are two deep parts. This is that beach right here.
Yeah.
Here's the Egyptian side. Here's the Saudi side.
Right.
It's about, 8 or 9 miles across here.
Yep.
Okay. And there's an underwater land bridge.
Right there. You can see how the Elat Deep on the top, you see how it goes down.
Lines, right.
Yeah.
And then
down here, the Argonis Deep.
How deep is it up here in the Elat Deep?
It's not a mile deep, but the other one is.
This one is?
Yeah, that's not as deep. It's still a couple of thousand feet deep, but it goes to Israel.
Yeah, up to Elat.
Yeah, Elat.
Okay. So across here, this beach. Oh, here's another little beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you see, actually, I believe they crossed from here, south of the thing, because the strong east wind would have froze everybody sitting there if it went right on the beach. So, and the pillar is right here, and the other pillar was right up here. So it was the southwest wind that came down and froze the water.
So they show up on the Saudi side, and then God drowned Pharaoh's army.
Right.
Now, I talked to Ron Wyatt quite a bit, and then to Richard Reeves. He said down at the bottom they found human ribs, human hands, chariot wheels. There's a picture of one of the gold-plated chariot wheels.
On the Egyptian side.
And you've been scuba diving down there how many times?
Well, I've been there 5 times. This last time an Egyptian stole a boat, so they wouldn't let me use a boat. I walked off the shore, but that's not the same. You need a boat with the radar equipment, with a good camera, and a gold finder. You need all these different things because it's all coral over there. Now, coral doesn't grow on sand. And yet the Red Sea's clear as a bell, and on the sand, there's all kind of coral because it's a big wrecking yard. There were hundreds and hundreds of chariots that were just collapsed and smashed by the frozen ice and forced up. And their dead bodies were forced up on the Saudi side because, see, it was gun control. The slaves had no weapons. And these guys were, driving chariots with swords and stuff, and their dead bodies were on the Egyptian side. And so they took the dead bodies off and let the tide take them back out to the deep.
Well, they kept all the weapons, too.
Yeah, they got the weapons off their dead bodies.
Sure, yeah. Instantly
So the
armed.
Lord provided. Isn't that wonderful? He's so wonderful.
Now, Ron told me that when he showed the pictures of the chariot wheels to the guys at the Antiquity Museum, the guy said, oh, that's the 18th dynasty.
Yeah, that's the only time they had 4-spoke wheels and 6-spoke.
They had some 4-spoke chariots, some 6-spoke, and some 8-spoke chariots, and all of them are found down there.
Everything, it does exactly. But the main thing about it is the reason why the pillar was in the water is because we know the water level of the ocean's higher now than was then, because Alexander the Great came almost 700 years after Solomon and built the harbor in Alexandria, Egypt, and it's underwater now. So this pillar was on the border, it raised up too much, it fell over, and Job says, waters wears the stone. You got these waves hitting that big pillar for maybe centuries, and so they picked it up and set it on the other side of the road they were building to patrol the border, and there's no writing on it. But when Ron Wyatt, it was worn off. But when Ron Wyatt was incarcerated for 78 days for not having a visa in 1984.
In Saudi Arabia.
In Saudi Arabia. That's why I waited 14 years till I got a visa. And
you didn't want to be incarcerated for 2 months.
That's right. Well, you got to strive lawfully. That's full of the law. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I want to, the one on the Saudi side, when they incarcerated him, after 70 days or so, they finally brought him down and tried to verify his story that he's just an American archaeologist, And the pillar was still standing up on the Saudi side, and he recognized Paleo-Hebrew, which is the Hebrew they used to inscribe before the Babylonian captivity. And he recognized Edom, which is Edom, and Mizraim, which is Egypt. And he recognized Shlomo, which automatically dated to Solomon or after, but not before Solomon. Well, I can use the King James Version, and I can get Solomon right at the crossing of the Red Sea, exactly 500 years after the crossing of the Red Sea. Because, for one, the crossing of the Red Sea happened 2,500 years after Adam and 3,500 years before the second coming.